Here are my top three underrated episodes from each SpongeBob season. We're going to start off with season one, of course. And this is actually one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. Um, I love this. Sweet Pineapple is probably my. I think it's phenomenal. It's funny. I like it more for its emotional, like well done storytelling. It has a very charming atmosphere. The characters are all very entertaining, and it's just a very good episode. I think this is one of my favorite SpongeBob episodes. All right, this is one of those. This is a very Opposite Day is an underrated episode. Now, people like this episode. I know it's well received, but I think it's up there for one of the funniest SpongeBob episodes. Period. I would actually say this is like as funny as a season three episode. It's very funny. It like the whole episode is just hilarious. It's an iconic episode too. It's very memorable. I just remember like the whole episode's just really funny. I know there's not much to say, but it's like it's one that doesn't get talked about enough. Like a lot of people forget it exists, and it's just a really piss your pants funny episode. Like you'll just laugh. Like if you don't laugh during this episode, if you unless you know the jokes are coming, if you don't laugh in the first time you see this episode, I'd be shocked. Like this is a SpongeBob episode I would put on to convince people that SpongeBob is funny. For my third top three pick, we got Fools in April. There's plenty of underrated. Season one is the most underrated season of SpongeBob. It's my favorite season. I mean, I could put so many on here. I could put I Was a Teenage Gary. I could put Employee of the Month. That's another hilarious piss your pants one. This one is really funny. Plus, it has good emotional character dynamics. It's a very sweet episode, and it's a good special for April Fool's Day. It's a episode that makes you feel like April Fool's Day is more special than some people treat it in the real world. It's just an excellent classic nostalgic episode. Very good character dynamics. Very well done. It's an episode. It's great. It's got the comedy. It's got the animation. It's got the humor. I already said comedy, but it's got the. I just like the emotional storytelling they do in this episode. It's very well done. It's just an excellent episode no one talks about, and there's so many excellent season one episodes no one talks about. But I limited myself to three, and I already picked my three, so this is probably the top. I would say this is probably the third most underrated episode in the season. All right, now we got season two. This is probably one of the most underrated episodes in the pre-movie era. Grandma's Kisses. A lot of people seem to not like this one, and when I was a kid, I didn't really like it. But when I got older, the message is it's similar to the movie where it's just like you shouldn't force yourself to grow up if you don't want to. I just like the message. It's just a very touching and sweet. And they say, "Oh, Squidward's a bully or whatever, or like he's being mean spirited." But I think he's the antagonist, so it works. And then at the end, it's like, "Oh, Squidward's still like looking at Grandma's house and laughing, right?" But it's just that But the thing is that SpongeBob's the real winner because he gets to have an emotional connection with his grandmother, and that's way more important than some jerks at a restaurant laughing at you. So I think the message it reminds you, yes, you will still be mocked for holding on to your innocence, like, but holding on to your innocence, the reward of holding on to your innocence matters much more um than trying to get street cred from a bunch of like homos. So it's a very good, very real episode with an amazing message, and I think it is extremely underrated and extremely misunderstood. Welcome to the Chum Bucket was my other pick for an underrated episode. Now, a lot of people like this one, so my case isn't as easy to make. I think this is a great episode. I think it's better than like most, not all, but most of people's favorite season two picks. This episode is just very. It works so well because it's just the Crab shows remorse for gambling SpongeBob away, and I like the dynamic of Mr. Krabs like admiring SpongeBob's work ethic, while at the same time SpongeBob admires Mr. Krabs' leadership. I've always liked that dynamic, and this episode explores that in an interesting and funny way. This is just a very good episode. We love the music is great, and it's just, I mean, I think a lot of people forget about it because the setting is pretty generic. It's just the chum bucket and the Krusty Krab. But again, funny episode and great character dynamics. All right, so we got SpongeBob, Sandy, and the Worm. This is an episode you don't hear about enough. It's really funny. This episode is just funny. I mean, that's really what makes it so good, is that it's just funny. Honestly, I mean, there's nothing really else to say. I mean, it's a memorable setting. The pushing Bikini Bottom is something that it's one of my most used SpongeBob jokes. When I was a kid, me and my sister would like talk about. We would always reference, the push because we wanted to push whatever location we liked. Like if we saw like a chain restaurant or whatever that was always around, or a hotel that was always around, we theorized that like it's the same location pushing it around. I know it's stupid. It's not that funny now, but it was funny then. And you know what? This episode is funnier than like most episodes people put at their top of their season 2 list. So I think it deserves to be on the list. I actually kind of forgot this episode existed, but I went over the season 2 listings. I thought about it. This one's really funny. Like this one just has a lot of good jokes, and people don't really talk about it that much. So I'd say it's underrated. This episode is probably not underrated because there's really like no underrated season 3 episodes. I'd say the patchy segments are the most underrated thing from season 3. Just all the patchy segments are funny, like the house party one, the of course the UGG and the Sponge You Can Fly. All those are like up there with the best episodes, but that's not the entire episode. Those are just segments. But this one, this one's just hilarious. Like, I mean, I don't see anybody saying this is their favorite episode of the season, and it's not mine. But this episode's just funny because Squilliam's such a piece of shit faggot. It's just hilarious. He's just he's he's such a good heel. That's what makes him so great. Is that Squilliam is just such a good little heel. He's like a little shit. You just want to see him lose, and that's what makes it so funny. Is just that piece of shit. Just like walking across the street. It's just a character that puts a smile on my face every time I see him. So, I mean, people love this episode. I know, but I mean, really, there's only 2 episodes that are actually underrated from season 3 anyway. So I just picked this one because I don't hear it talked about quite as much as the others. And I actually will say this episode is very funny. This episode is just as funny as some of the funniest episodes. So I put it here. Okay, we got Crabborg. Now this episode, I always thought this episode was underrated. The YouTuber named Aw glazes this episode quite a bit. So he basically said what I said. This episode is just insanely funny, and I agree. This is like one of the funniest SpongeBob episodes ever. Like every joke is just hilarious in this one. Like it is just like this episode is just every joke is just lands and it's really funny. It's a generic setting, it's a little unmemorable just because it's only in the Krusty Krab, but it's just so funny it doesn't matter. Like this episode is like piss your pants, like goat tier funny. So and people don't. I mean, in terms of funny, just pure funny SpongeBob episodes, this is like top 3. Like this is really funny. And by far the most underrated episode of season 3 is Clams. No one talks about this one. People say it's good when they bring it up. They're like, yeah, this is a good one, and then they move on. No, this one is like super funny. This episode is funnier than Chocolate with Nuts, easily. I think Chocolate with Nuts is kind of overrated. It's a funny episode, but it's not like the GOAT. It's not. I wouldn't even put it in like the top 10 funniest SpongeBob episodes. This episode is super funny, just like piss your pants funny from beginning to end. It's an interesting, memorable setting. This is just one of those episodes that's super funny. That's all I can really say. I mean, from start to finish, there's just like a joke every couple seconds, and it's funny like every time. You know, it's got immature, mature. It's got every type of humor you could want, and it's really just a perfect episode. I just think they hit it out of the park with this one, and it doesn't get enough credit. For season 4, Whale of a Birthday, I'd say is the most underrated episode in the season. As far as I'm concerned, this episode is like a season pre-movie classic. I'm serious. Like, a lot of people hate this episode. I think it's hilarious. I think The Boys Who Cry is hilarious. Dude, when Squidward does the four-ply when I cry, that is like probably the funniest moment in SpongeBob. Like, it is up there. Like, you're gonna tell me that is not like you didn't piss yourself when you saw that laughing. You're gonna tell me you weren't in hysterics like laughing at that the first time you saw the four-ply with Squidward. That is so fucking funny. That one joke is just so fucking funny, bro. And the plot itself is entertaining. It's a nice plot. You know, Pearl, Mr. Krabs is cold-hearted, but SpongeBob, since he's a good person, he just in his innocence, he just gives Pearl a great birthday party, and it's a nice surprise. It's a happy ending. It's like two characters at bay. Like, Mr. Krabs is a cheap jackass, and SpongeBob, he doesn't even intend to hurt Mr. Krabs, but he ends up just he doesn't care about money, and he just gives Pearl a nice birthday. So it's a nice story, and it's just a funny episode, especially the fucking Squidward part. That joke is so funny. Next, we have Rule of Thumb. This is a hated episode in SpongeBob. People really don't like this one. I think it's funny. I don't think it's that funny, mind you, but I think it's a funny episode. Like, I think it's just funny. Like, Patrick being such a snob. And it works because everybody, like, is like, dude, this guy fucking sucks. Like, this guy's an idiot. Mr. Krabs kicks him out of the restaurant, all that stuff. And it has I like the ending where Gary's actually the king and, Patrick's just a cuck. So I think it's a funny episode. Yes, Patrick's a dick, but that's like the point of the plot. Like, everybody knows he's being a dick, and it's treated with contention, right? It's like midlife crustacean, where like Mr. Krabs being cheap is the plot. So Patrick being a dick here works because it's the plot, and everybody acknowledges that he's being horrible, and that's like the point of the episode. And he even acknowledges that. He even acknowledges that he's become a terrible person, and he doesn't want to be king anymore because it changed him for the worse. And I just think there's some good jokes. It's a good story for a kids cartoon. It's a very simple, good story, and I think it's overhated and a bit underrated. Now we got Selling Out from season 4. I like this episode a lot. I think it's very, very good. It tells a great story of Mr. Krabs being a greedy bastard, and then he sells out, as the title says. He sells his business for money, because that's all that matters to him is money, right? But then the Krusty Krab gets turned into a shitty corporate gay sports bar. And that's part of the humor, is seeing the Krusty Krab turn to like this shitty corporate, like fucking Applebee's, like sports bar. And that's part of the humor, and it's just very funny. There's a lot of good jokes too. A lot of good character interactions, like Mr. Krabs going, "I hate golf," and um, Squidward getting getting threatened by upper management. The whole the squeegee cuck guy who like runs the new Krusty Krab is just a funny kind of dystopian character. And Mr. Krabs comes to his senses and turns good at the end. It's a fun story. There's funny jokes. It's a memorable setting. I think it's a very underrated episode. It's not like laugh out loud, like super funny, but it's got an engaging story and funny jokes. So I think this is a very good episode that a lot of people underestimate. For season 5, we got Goo Goo Gas. This episode is just funny. Like, that's all there really is to it. It's interesting, it's funny, and nobody talks about it. This is just a funny, good episode that is forgotten about. And I don't really have much to add to it. I mean, most people don't even know this episode exists. But yeah, it's a funny episode. You know what? SpongeBob season 5 had a lot of rating straps. And honestly, compared to the season 6 rating traps, they were much better. Maybe it's because I was younger, but I remember liking Pest of the West. When I was a kid, okay, I liked Atlanta Square Panis. And I think that special is overhated. I don't think it's that bad. But At the very least, all of the Friend or Foe, of course, I saw live. That met the hype. This episode was actually hyped up as like a special episode, and I remember seeing it live, like going, "Oh, okay." I think I might have missed it live, but I saw it later on DVD, and this episode is just funny. It's just very. It's a unique setting, and it's funny. It does feel different. It does not feel like a pre-movie SpongeBob episode, but it is very funny, and that's all you could really ask for in a in a cartoon that's meant to make you laugh. So it's very funny. The warden is a great character, and the setting is very interesting too. There's like they're on this prison vote. I don't know. Very funny episode. I don't hear people talk about this one, and it is a very unique and memorable episode that's also funny. Now we got Stanley S. SquarePants. Like SpongeBob's cousin, he's just like a total queer. He's got like a stupid haircut. But he means well, so you actually do kind of root for SpongeBob to give Stanley a second chance. The thing I like about this episode is one, it's pretty funny. It's not like that funny, but there's some really the funny parts of the episode are really funny. And two, it's an interesting dilemma, you know. It's like SpongeBob, you know, has a good heart and wants to help, but his cousin, you know, he has a good heart and wants to help, but he just, due to like no real malice, he just messes everything up because he just does. So that's why everyone tries to get rid of him. But since SpongeBob has such a good heart, he'll find a place for him. And three, I like the design of the character. It's very odd. It's like kind of uncanny valley, but in a silly way that's funny. And a very good voice for the character as well. So I think people really don't like this episode. I think it was very well done. It's very, it's not like amazing, but I would say it's good. I'd say it's more good than bad for sure. Okay, now we got House Fancy. This is a hated episode, particularly because of the Squidward toenail scene. I'm not defending the toenail scene. It's terrible. But that being said, this episode is fucking funny. Not even really the Squidward. Here's my take. Squidward, when he watches how... It's like the gayest, shittiest fucking retarded thing. Like the biggest faggot thing ever. Like the stupid CGI fucking intro for House Fancy. It's just absolutely hilarious. Like it gets me every time because it's just such a shitty fucking... And then the character who you know, the host for Squilliam's house. Squilliam's just flexing. It's just ridiculous. He has gilded doorknobs everywhere. It's just funny. It's just like this douchebag on TV, like, yes, look at my golden toilet. Look at my golden this. And maybe it's not funny to most people, but if you've ever been forced to sit, if you have women in your family and you've been forced to sit through those shitty, like, house renovating shows, it is just hilarious. I think this is like a weird SpongeBob thing that like most people don't find funny, but I think it's hilarious. I think the Squilliam house tour is some of the funniest material post movie. That being said, there is problems. You know, when SpongeBob comes in and they have to renovate the house, that part kind of sucks. But it has a happy ending with Squidward winning in the end over Squilliam, and it's always satisfying to see Squilliam lose because he's just such a good villain. So it has a nice ending, and the first half is just really, really funny. So honestly, and I don't really mind the second half that much. It's just kind of mid. Other than the toenail scene, it's just like whatever. So I would actually say this is pretty underrated. I don't think this is a bad episode. I feel like if you ignore the toenail scene, and if you find the house touring thing funny like I did, I think it's a pretty good episode. All right, well, next we got Spongicus. This is a very fun episode. It's not very funny, but it is very fun, if that makes sense. It's an interesting setting that I don't think we've seen replicated, where, you know, SpongeBob and has to survive in Plankton's Coliseum, in a Greek Coliseum. Sure, it's a fun cartoon plot. I very fun visuals as well. Just a good. I just say it's an entertaining episode with a memorable setting. I think a lot of early season 6 is actually pretty good. It's not like amazing, but it is pretty good. I don't think there's an early episode from season 6 that I really strongly dislike. I think most of them are pretty good. Like, you know, if the whole season was like the first couple episodes of season 6, I feel like it would be remembered a lot better. But yeah, this is just a fun episode with a good atmosphere. All right, this is another one. Krabby Road. This one is just very fun. This is a funny episode. And it's just a funny concept of SpongeBob, Squidward, Patrick, and Plankton all joining a band to have a gig at Krusty Krab when it's closed. It's just a simple episode that's funny. You know, it opens up with a unique prison break, and I like the characters' rock band designs. I just think it's a good episode, and it has some good jokes. I like this episode. I feel like it's perfectly. I think it's serviceable. I think if this episode released in the earlier I guess this is an earlier season nowadays, but if this released in the pre-movie seasons, people probably wouldn't like say it's their favorite or anything, but they probably wouldn't think twice about it. They'd be like, yeah, that was there. So I feel like this episode is not bad. I feel like it should get more credit. I think it's one of the better season 6 episodes. This is the first underrated episode for season 7. Season 7, excuse me. Now most people don't like season 7 at all. I do think season 7 is a little overhated. A lot of the episodes are just kind of like stuff you would put on to distract your toddler and not really like offensively bad. This episode is just funny. Krusty Dogs is a well received episode within this season, but this one's just funny, dude. I don't know what to say. It's just a funny episode. Like everybody everybody's saying wiener. That's the joke, is like hearing all the SpongeBob characters say wiener in funny context. And there's just a lot of good, entertaining, and clever jokes here, and immature jokes. So really, I mean, it's just funny. I mean, that's really all you can say about it. It's also a good idea for an episode. You know, you change the formula of the Krabby Patty and you into a hot dog, and it's actually a good idea for the episode, and I feel like it's sort of an excuse just to it's just an excuse for Mr. Krabs to change the restaurant again, which is a plot we've seen a lot of times where Mr. Krabs will change the restaurant and it loses its identity. But it does work well in this case, especially because it makes sense. You know, a hot dog is made from scrap meat, you know, and Mr. Krabs is a cheap bastard, so the hot dogs being sold make perfect sense under his umbrella. Um, Again, the real reason this is here is just because it's funny. And this is a more well-received episode from season 7, but I feel like it's funnier than people give it credit for. If this episode was not in season 7, I feel like people would like it a lot more. If this episode was like season 5 or 6, I feel like people would give it a little more credit than it gets. Next, we got Sponge Kano. This episode is never talked about. I don't really see it in anyone's worst list, but I don't see it in anyone's best list. People consider this one forgettable. Out of all the season 7 episodes, this one made me laugh quite a bit. There's just a lot of funny little moments here and there, and it has a very intense ending. So I feel like this one, look, I don't think it's up to the quality as pre-movie, of course, but this is kind of a fun episode. I feel like this is one of those episodes that just really works. I don't know why. It came together properly for me. I'm not saying everyone will like this one, but I thought it was just pretty funny, and it was entertaining. So, I mean, what really more can you ask for? I feel like this is an underrated episode. Greasy Buffoons. This is another episode. This is actually an episode that gets mixed reception. Some people like this, some people don't. I think this is a funny episode. I just think it's funny. Like, again, there's nothing really interesting to say here. But it's just funny, dude. Like, this episode is just really funny. There's just a lot of good jokes. And it's entertaining. The plot's entertaining, and like, what are they gonna do next? Like, it's just interesting to see how Krabs and Plankton will one-up each other, to see how low they will go to make a quick buck. I mean, entertaining plot and funny jokes. That's all you can really say. I'd say this is one of my favorite episodes of season 7. And honestly, this episode's probably better than like most of season 6. So I think it's an underrated episode. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great evening.